If anyone's buying crypto, they have to use a long-term time horizon. So they shouldn't worry about the price 1 month from now, but they should think about where it is 5 years from now. And that's how we've always approached it. When we wrote about Bitcoin, we always wrote about prices 5 years from now. And that's why even today, I think Bitcoin can still get to 1 million. They have to understand there is a huge transformation taking place on Wall Street, because AI and blockchain are really going to disrupt traditional Wall Street. And so they should really bet on a future where that innovation is going to take place. And part of it is Bitcoin, because that's where you store value. But a bigger change is on smart contract platforms like Ethereum. So to me, I think Ethereum is in a super cycle. Like, it's just the start of what I think is going to be a really explosive rise over the next 5 to 10 years.
Bitcoin is on track to hit $1 million faster than anyone expects, while Ethereum is entering a super cycle that could dominate the next decade. That's the latest message from Tom Lee, co-founder and head of research at Fundstrat. Bitcoin recently surged past $115,000, breaking through barriers that once felt untouchable, but that number is far from the finish line. Lee calls it a pit stop on a much bigger ride, one that feels both frightening and exciting at the same time. According to Lee, the next 5 years will blur opportunity and risk into the same picture. He warns that too many investors are stuck in short-term noise while a financial earthquake is unfolding right under Wall Street's feet. Bitcoin could truly become the spark that ignites an unstoppable fire. At the same time, Ethereum is set for what Lee describes as a supercycle. And if you're not ready, you will miss the upside and risk being swallowed by the same market forces now being unleashed. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video as Tom Lee breaks down the catalysts he believes will drive Bitcoin past $1 million and send Ethereum into a historic supercycle. But before we jump into it, just a quick reminder. Only a small percentage of you watching are actually subscribed. If you're getting value from the videos, hit that subscribe button. It's free, it supports the channel, and you can always change your mind later. Now, let's begin.
The stablecoin industry is the first really widely adopted crypto product. That's why we called it the ChatGPT moment. And stablecoins work really well. Merchants love it because they don't have what they call chargebacks, and the exchange fees are much lower. If a merchant accepts Visa payments, for instance, that's 2 to 3% of the charge is taken by Visa. And if there's a fraudulent charge, the merchant is forced to lose money on that transaction. There's never any fraud on a stablecoin because it's a bearer instrument. Consumers like stablecoins because it's less expensive to carry a USDC than to have a bank account. And then the stablecoin issuer makes money on a stablecoin. Stablecoins also are big owners of U.S. Treasuries. In fact, collectively, they're the 12th largest holder of U.S. Treasuries. So it's a very good model for the United States. And I think banks have looked at stablecoins initially as, they didn't really like the product, but now that they've seen the adoption, they've become interested in issuing their own stablecoins.
Stablecoin users like Circle, Tether, and PayPal, and the traditional financial sector, how will they compete?
Oh, well, they're definitely going to compete. Stablecoins, I think, have the primary distinction today is really U.S. compliant stablecoins like USDC and PayPal versus Tether, because Tether is much bigger, but it doesn't operate in a compliant way with U.S. OFAC, U.S. regulatory requirements. Because in the U.S., in order to have a stablecoin wallet to receive it, you have to have done what they call KYC, know your customer. It's a standard anti-money laundering process. So all bank account. Anybody who opens a bank account in the U.S. has to do a KYC.
Okay.
But Tether doesn't require KYC. That's why it operates so widely outside the U.S. 80% of all stablecoin transactions do take place outside the US at the moment. So it's much bigger outside of America. But, today there's, in crypto, you can just use cross-chain. You can swap Tether for USDC into a compliant wallet. So there's interoperability. So JP Morgan, Goldman, Amazon, Walmart, they'd love to be in the stablecoin business because then they can capture the benefits of issuing a stablecoin.
So like big banks have centuries of trust and millions of customers, and the crypto firms have like the technology. Who do you think has the upper hand? Do they have to compete, or will they survive like both?
I think both. I think the strongest ones are going to survive. JP Morgan and Goldman, I think, are going to be huge winners from blockchain because they, as you said, they have enormous positive reputations with governments, with institutions. They have a brand that's recognized. And crypto is a way for them to re-engineer their businesses to save a lot of money. So I think that the biggest U.S. banks are going to become global winners in crypto. The stablecoin market's going to get competitive. So Circle is the biggest stablecoin after Tether. I don't really know the financials of Circle that closely. So if someone is interested in owning that stock, I don't know. But stable coins have to run on a blockchain, right? So Tether, USDT and USDC, they operate on top of an existing blockchain. And the majority of stable coins, over 60%, are operated on Ethereum. So Ethereum is where most of the stable coins are actually operating, and 36% of the fees for Ethereum today come from stablecoins. And
that's a lot.
There's a stat that was just published over the weekend, but in just the last 7 days, about 7 billion of stablecoins were created on Ethereum, which is greater than the amount of stablecoins on Solana over the past 5 years. So more stablecoins creations are taking place on Ethereum. So I'd say if you're betting on stablecoins, you should bet on Ethereum.
Yeah, it's like betting on Ethereum. Okay.
Yeah, and that's just tokenizing the dollar. Wall Street wants to tokenize the stock market, and they want to tokenize bonds and real estate and even art.
Yeah.
That tokenizing mechanism is the same essentially as tokenizing a dollar. So that's where Wall Street is, again, doing most of that work on Ethereum. My friends thought Bitcoin was... So my friends that are in the financial business, they are the ones who missed Bitcoin. Because in 2017, their knowledge of the world is traditional stocks, traditional bonds. They didn't think crypto made any sense at all. So they were very skeptical of Bitcoin. And in fact, many ridiculed my views about it. Of course, now they acknowledge it was a great idea.
I think they'll regret it.
Yeah. But now when I tell my friends about Ethereum, my close friends still do the same thing. They're like, Ethereum, it hasn't done anything for 5 years. Why would I buy Ethereum now? So my closest friends are still very skeptical.
Right now, Bitcoin commands a market cap approaching $2.3 trillion, a figure that keeps it at the center of financial headlines. Yet beneath that spotlight, a quieter force is influencing its every move. Stablecoins such as USDT and USDC now function as the bridge between traditional money and crypto markets, moving billions of dollars that flow directly into Bitcoin trading. Each billion transferred through these tokens can send ripples across Bitcoin's price, magnifying volatility while giving investors near-instant liquidity that banks could never match. Ethereum provides the foundation for much of this system. As the network that hosts the majority of stablecoin activity, it processes immense transaction volumes and generates more than $1.22 billion a year in fees. This constant flow of value is why analysts believe Ethereum is primed for a supercycle, one where rising usage translates into both higher fees and greater long-term scarcity of Ethereum as more coins are locked away or staked. Together, Bitcoin and Ethereum capture two sides of the same transformation. Bitcoin is the hedge against monetary decay, the hard asset that resists inflation, while Ethereum is the settlement layer, the programmable chain that powers contracts, stablecoins, and tokenized assets. Both are feeding off each other's growth, and both are set to accelerate as the financial system moves further onto blockchain rails. With that, let's go back to Tom Lee as he shares his top advice for building wealth in crypto, along with his outlook on the broader macroeconomy.
Well, number one, if anyone's buying crypto, they have to use a long-term time horizon. So they shouldn't worry about the price 1 month from now, but they should think about where it is 5 years from now. And that's how we've always approached it. When we wrote about Bitcoin, we always wrote about prices 5 years from now. And that's why even today, I think Bitcoin can still get to 1 million.
Wow.
And it's about 100,000 now. So that would be my first advice. The second is that they have to understand there is a huge transformation taking place on Wall Street, because AI and blockchain are really going to disrupt traditional Wall Street. And so they should really bet on a future where that innovation is going to take place. And part of it is Bitcoin, because that's where you store value. But a bigger change is on smart contract platforms like Ethereum. So to me, I think Ethereum is in a super cycle. Like, it's just the start of what I think is going to be a really explosive rise over the next 5 to 10 years. Well, if someone's buying MicroStrategy, they're buying it for their Bitcoin exposure.
Yeah.
And let's say that Bitcoin can go from 100,000 to 1 million, so 10 times. MicroStrategy will go up more than that because of its Bitcoin strategy. But Ethereum today is 4,000 roughly. We show that if Ethereum's price ratio recovers to its all-time high against Bitcoin, then Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin by 5 times. Okay, meaning if Bitcoin goes to 1 million, and that's 10 times from here, that means Ethereum could go up 50 times. Wow. So now Bitmine stock should outperform Ethereum's price move. So if MicroStrategy will outperform a 10 times rise in Bitcoin, Bitmine will outperform a 50 times rise in Ethereum. So in a way, and these are the 2 largest crypto treasuries in the world.
Yeah, it is.
The choice is really understanding that Ethereum is facing a positive innovation cycle that markets haven't yet recognized, because it's been for 5 years. It's been a chain that's been slowly improving, but now this is the moment.
What's your general outlook for other different sectors?
Well, I'm still bullish on U.S. stocks in the final few months of 2025, because there's 2 things that are positive catalysts. The first is that the Fed is going to resume its cutting cycle. And we looked back. So if you look at the entire history of monetary policy, the Fed has never resumed a cutting cycle in the fall. So it's only happened 2 other times in history.
And you're expecting this year as well?
Yes, yeah. It's the Fed has signaled. So this would be the 3rd time. The first time was 1998.
Yeah.
The second time was 2024. And this is the 3rd time. In all the 2 prior cases, the stock market boomed in the 4th quarter because the Fed has been on pause, and then they're finally cutting. The second is that the business confidence, the ISM manufacturing, actually has been below 50 now for 29 months. It will probably recover back to 50 once the Fed starts cutting. That's the longest stretch of the ISM below 50 in history. So that's really good for industrials and financials and small caps. So I think that this fall is a really broadening of the stock market rally, where the banks and the industrials and the small caps are going to do as well as large cap tech. When the Fed resumes its cutting cycle, they have a lot of room to cut rates further, because the Fed funds is at 4.5% right now, and inflation is probably closer to 2 or 2.5%. So it's the real interest rate is extremely tight. So I think there's a lot of room to cut. That will take a few years. I think this is really bullish for stocks. I think the most important message I would leave you is that when you think about whether it's stocks or crypto, you should understand that in the stock market, you really want to buy the best companies.
Yeah.
That's why Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, these are the strongest businesses, and they have trends that are not sensitive to the economy. Like if there's a recession, Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, they're the strongest businesses. They're not the ones that are going to be hurt. Everything else is going to do worse. And the same is true in crypto, that in crypto, you really want to buy the strongest chains. And that's Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe Solana, but these all have really good, I'd say, core underlying factors that support them.
MicroStrategy has become one of the most powerful Bitcoin plays in the stock market, with its massive holdings magnifying every move in the price. If Bitcoin climbs from $100,000 to $1 million, a tenfold increase, MicroStrategy shares could soar even higher. Ethereum, however, holds the potential to outperform even that. If its price ratio returns to its historical peak against Bitcoin, Ethereum could rise 5 times faster. In that scenario, a tenfold Bitcoin rally could translate into a 50-fold surge for Ethereum. Companies with large Ethereum positions like Bitmine could see gains that eclipse even MicroStrategy. The optimism doesn't stop at crypto. Lee expects US stocks to rally into late 2025 as the Federal Reserve prepares to cut interest rates, a move that has sparked powerful rallies in the past. Manufacturing sentiment measured by the ISM index has been below 50 for a record 29 months, but rate cuts could revive confidence and lift sectors like industrials, financials, and small caps. With the Fed funds rate at 4.5% and inflation near 2 to 2.5%, there is ample room for easing, creating a long runway for equities. Ultimately, his advice is to focus on resilient companies such as Tesla, Nvidia, and Palantir, while in crypto, the strongest blockchains remain Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. But what do you think? Do you agree with him, or are there other projects you see breaking out soon? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to stay most up to date on the crypto and Bitcoin world, subscribe to my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a concise resource for the latest expert predictions, breaking news, and top on-chain analysis, trusted by over 90,000 subscribers for insightful crypto investment information. Don't miss out on the opportunity to stay informed in the crypto market. The link is in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video and that it gave you some value. I'll see you all at the next one, and as always, all the best.